What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Basement Buffs for this episode of what I watched in July. I started the month and I went to a movie theater actually for the first time in a while. I think the last time I was in a movie theater, I saw Tenet. But I went and saw the new Marvel movie Black Widow, and I have a lot of mixed emotions about this movie. On the one hand, the actors killed it. On the other hand, they were doing Russian accents the whole time, and not all of them were good at it. Also, there was no point to do Russian accents the whole time. They're a bunch of secret spy and sleeper agents, and there's no way that they wouldn't know how to just talk normally like Scarlett Johansson does. Not saying that Russian accents aren't normal or Russian people aren't normal, although they drink vodka like they're not normal, but it just didn't make sense to me. Like, we're a bunch of spies and we've been sleeper agents in America, and then you see them again a couple of years later and they're like, oh, those vidanya. It's like, what? Uh, but it was still fun. It was actually funny sometimes. Like, Florence Pugh killed it. Rachel Weisz killed it. Scarlett Johansson was good. And David Harbour was funny as well. The action was good, but like, that's not surprising in a Marvel comic book movie. But the villain sucked ass. This villain sucked so bad they butchered it. It was probably the worst villain since Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2. It was just really bad. Overall, though, it's worth seeing. I don't know if I'd pay to go see it in a movie theater or pay the like $30 on Disney Plus to watch it right now, but it's worth seeing eventually. 6 out of 10. I followed that up with Luca. I have a lot to say about Luca. I'm going to save it later on, talk about it later in the video, but it's so good. And if you don't feel like watching the whole video because you hate me, 10 out of 10. I followed Luca up with the 1999 movie The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. It's not the best movie, and I know it's not the best movie, but I feel like it gets falsely remembered because of the two sequels, because The Mummy Returns had that terrible CGI, the Dwayne Rock Johnson Scorpion King thing. We'll put a picture of it here. It's awful. And if you rewatch that movie, it's great until that point, and then that just brings it so far down because it just aged so terribly. And then with the Tomb of the Dragon King being completely forgettable and not good, I feel like the first one gets lumped in with that of like, oh, the second one had the bad effect and the third one sucked, so the first one must not be good. This movie was so good. I love this movie. I forgot how much I loved this movie. Like, rediscovering this movie's awesome. It's so much fun. Brendan Fraser's awesome in it. He's like charismatic as fuck. There's a scene where he's going to like be hung, and Rachel Weisz is like, I'm gonna try to break you out. Is there anything you need me to do? And he's like, yeah, come here real quick. And she gets close to the bar and he just kisses her, and it's like, all right, yeah, it's problematic and don't cancel me for it, but it's fucking funny and it's charismatic as fuck, and then they fall in love by the end, so it's cute. uh but everybody in it's fun. All the characters are fun. The action sets are very cool and fun. It's just a fun movie. Like, overall, it's good, and it's just, yeah, it's a swashbuckling adventure, if you will. um 7 out of 10 for The Mummy for sure. And then I watched the HBO documentary about Tina Turner called Tina. Uh, I personally knew about Tina Turner and like her life story, so nothing in this necessarily surprised me. Hearing about how Ike beat the shit out of her, like, yeah, I knew about that, but it was a really good documentary because Tina Turner is a figure where you could literally make a movie about every decade of her life and have like a 2 hour movie for each decade. She has lived one hell of a life. So to see that story, which is an incredibly powerful story, play out for a documentary was just really, really good. It's worth watching, and it's just a really good documentary. 7 out of 10. Next, I watched the new Steven Soderbergh movie, No Sudden Moves, on HBO Max, and this movie annoyed me. It was very okay. The cast was good, the story was entertaining, but it wasn't great. And this frustrates me because like Soderbergh can make good ensemble movies. He's made Traffic, Contagion, and The Laundromat, and it's not like he can't make a good heist or crime movie. He's made Oceans 11, 12, and 13, and those are also ensemble movies. So to have an ensemble crime movie directed by Steven Soderbergh not be what I know it could have been is just, it's a little frustrating. Um And I don't know what was really missing from this movie, but it really wasn't good. Like it just wasn't good. Uh it wasn't what I wanted. 5 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Yeah, it wasn't good. 4 out of 10. I cleansed my palate with Luca. After watching Luca again, I went and listened to the album When Smoke Rises by Mustafa, and I learned online he directed a short documentary movie called Remember Me Toronto, and it's worth watching because you learn about the gun violence in and around Toronto that influenced and played a part in the album When Smoke Rises, which is worth listening to. And if you watch the documentary and listen to the album, it makes the album that much more powerful. And the documentary is also just worth checking out. It's not that long. It's only like 12 minutes. I'm not going to give it a rating, but I did watch it, so I'm mentioning it. But yeah, it's worth checking out. Then I watched the new HBO Max documentary on Woodstock 99 called Woodstock 99 Peace, Love, and Rage. I talked about this on the podcast. Here's the thing. Plug that shit. But to keep it short, this documentary is fucking awesome. The way they break down how all the shit that went wrong in this, like how it went wrong, and how pop culture influenced like how people acted, and like how they didn't want MTV to be there, and then that MTV was there, they acted up because of that. But then also how like Girls Gone Wild influenced how people treated the women at the festival. It's amazing to watch how all of this pop culture shit reached like a point, and that point just happened to be Woodstock 99, and it went so wrong. Like a person died, people were sexually assaulted, a stage burned down. Like it's incredible. And it's an amazingly made documentary, and it's really worth watching. And I keep telling people to watch it. I'm probably going to rewatch it. It's so good. 9 out of 10. Then I watched the comedy movie Shiva Baby. This movie's so funny. It's like an hour and 10 minutes, and it's about a young woman who uses sugar daddies to help pay off her loans and her student like debt, and for her law school that she's saving up for. And then she has to go to a funeral reception for her Jewish family where they like sit Shiva, and one of her sugar daddies is in attendance at the reception. And it's so funny. It's really, really good. It's on HBO Max. It's worth watching. And it's shot in the style of a horror film. Like, it's all close-ups, and it's very claustrophobic because for the main character, this is a horror scenario. And, like, her ex-girlfriend is at the reception. One of her sugar daddies is there. It's just horrifying for her, but it's so funny to watch. Everybody in it is really good. I don't know who the main actress is, but she killed it. And it's really funny and really worth watching. 8 out of 10. And then I watched Space Jam: A New Legacy. And I know a lot of people don't like this movie. I personally think they should just grow the fuck up and let it go. Not every kid's movie's for you. This is coming from the guy that just said Luca's a 10 out of 10. I get it. If you're going to watch this one to see if it's better than the original, it isn't. It's not going to light a candle to it because we all love the original. But if you're going to watch it and understand that it's a fun movie made for a new generation of young basketball fans who are idolizing the greatest player in the NBA right now that they've ever seen, it does that. It's a really good movie for that. And it's not terrible. And I hate that people are saying it's terrible. It's LeBron James saving his family and saving the world by playing a basketball game. What was the first one? It was Michael Jordan playing a basketball game to save the world. Like, come on now. It's just a remake of the first one for a new generation. Time to just admit that. And it's pretty good. Like, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's not going to blow your socks off. But there is one part that I genuinely find funny where LeBron and Bugs Bunny have to go into the different Warner Brothers properties and find the Looney Tunes to recruit them for the basketball game. But instead of going into, like, kids' movies, it's like The Matrix, Mad Max Fury Road. They go into fucking Casablanca. And it's funny if you know those movies. It's like, oh, that's pretty funny. But yeah, the movie's not great. It isn't. But I like it. But I understand the gripes of it. It's rough because like it's sort of like Shot Caller last month where it's like I get why this is entertaining, but it's not a good movie. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. And then I watched the 2002 Brazilian film City of God. My cousin Tim, who recommended Shot Caller last month, recommended this month, and I've seen this movie before, and I love this movie so fucking much. I've seen it so many times. I fucking love this movie. Like when he said watch City of God, I texted him. I'm like, I love City of God. I'm gonna fucking watch the shit out of that, and I saved it for last. This movie's amazing. It's the story of a group of friends focused around this one boy, young man, as they grow up around and in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and they grow apart and then they clash back together. Like they're in and out of each other's lives, sometimes very violently. One of them becomes a fucking gang lord. Um, but it's so good and well made, and the editing is fast paced and it's well written, and all the actors kill it. They're all young, and it's impressive that they all are so good. It's shot beautifully. The editing is so fast paced, but so good. I never lose interest in this movie. I love this movie. I think everybody should see it. It's so good. 10 out of 10. And then I watched Luca again because I'm not done with Luca. I love Luca. I think I watched it like 4 or 5 times so far, like since it's come out. It's so good. I think this movie is so good. It's not perfect, and it is definitely not Pixar's best movie. It doesn't hold a candle to like Up, Inside Out, or Coco, or Soul, or the Toy Story trilogy, or Bug's Life. No, it does. It fucking blows Bug's Life out of the water. But like, it's not their best movie. It's not on the Mount Rushmore of Pixar movies, but it's so fucking good. The relationship between the two main characters is so great, and it can be, you can definitely, like, I'm sure film analysis classes are going to read into the relationship of the two kids, especially to try and find homosexual themes or a love story between the two of them. And if you dig, you can definitely find it. But if you don't, because the movie doesn't overtly show it, it's just a really wholesome friendship built on just a platonic love between two friends, and then they meet a third friend, and it's just a really nice friendship, and there's no love story in this movie, which I think is really great because it makes this Pixar's best just kids movie. There's really no themes of like psychological analysis like in Inside Out, or the meaning of life like in Soul, which definitely isn't made for a fucking 6-year-old, or like there's no introspective story about the meaning of family like in Coco. It's literally just, here's a boy and he wants to go and see like the surface because he lives underwater. He's a fucking mer person or fish thing. They call themselves creatures in the movie, which is weird. They never actually say what they are, but they're like fish people. And he just wants to see the surface. And then he meets this boy who shows him that he can go see the surface. And they start having an adventure. And then they meet this girl who shows them that not only can they see the surface, but there's like more than just the village they're in. There's cities and there's states and countries and there's the world. And then she shows them that there are stars and planets and galaxies. And the little kid, Luca, is like, holy fucking shit, I want to see it all. And it's adorable. And it's a really good kids movie that teaches kids just like, friends are great. You need friends. Friends are important to life. And then there's the message with his family that like the family loves him and they support that he wants to learn. And it's just like, it's so cute and so good. And I think for like a 5 or 6-year-old, it's the perfect kids movie of just like, there's no really bad guy. There's like a school bully, but that's it. He doesn't say anything super mean. He doesn't, like, there's one scene where he like threatens to beat the kids up, but he doesn't. There's no scary moments in the movie. It has a happy ending. I cry every time. It's such a good ending. The visuals in it are immaculate. It's just so cute, and I love it. And it's got funny moments. It's just so good. I love Luca. Luca's so fucking good. It's so good. 10 out of 10. 1,000 times. 10 out of 10. But that's everything I watched this month. Really wasn't that much. It was just Luca a lot. And then some documentaries, and some meh movies. But as always, if you like it, please, like, subscribe, tell your friends, watch the movies, tell me what you think. Check out our podcast. Here's the thing. We just had a new episode go up. We'll leave a link for that in the description. And check out Kyle's playing Bloodborne on the Game Cellar. So check that out. He has a couple episodes out. And I'm doing my new thing of first tries on my games. I played through the whole game on my first try. The first episode of that was Wolfenstein 2. It took me a long time, but I did play through it on my first try. One life, didn't die once. It was great. We'll leave the link in the bio for that. Check that out. But as always, thank you for watching. And yeah, see you next month. Finger guns. Daily double.